Naro.
Thank you. I rise to take a brief call on this second reading of the Returning Offenders Management and Information Bill in its stages before the House. And just want to make comment to Mr O'Rourke and agree with his comments. And I work with Mr O'Rourke on the Justice Electoral Select Committee, and I know that, as he said, that we both agree that the bill is important, that it needs to be rushed through urgency because of the concerns that there are in regards to safety, and particularly around the supervision and the monitoring. And so my brief comments on the second reading of the bill, Mr Speaker, is in particularly relation to subpart 2 and 3, which defines the returning prisoners and establishes a supervision regime for them to be administered by corrections on a comparable basis to its supervision of prisoners released on conditions as well, whether they be non-custodial. Mr Speaker, some of those conditions are that the Department of Corrections will be able to apply to a court for a period of supervision for offenders who have been in the community for more than 6 months, where they were subject to supervision or monitoring at the time of their leaving the other jurisdiction as well. The second point is, under the supervision regime, returning prisoners will be supervised in the same way as those who have served a prison sentence in New Zealand as well. The regime will also apply regardless of whether the offender is deported, removed or returns voluntarily. And as was read in my first reading speech in regards to the regulatory impact statement, we know that those who are returning offenders, over 70% of them are of serious nature and of serious crimes. So it's important that the supervision regime is in place. The last point I want to make is that the length of supervision periods will be related to the length of sentence imposed. For example, offenders with a sentence of 2 to 5 years will be supervised for 1 year, which is similar to what would be in place for prisoners released in New Zealand as well. Mr Speaker, I, along with my colleague Dennis O'Rourke, who's just left, agree with the urgency of this legislation through the House, and I commend it in its second reading.